Oh, wow. Just every week gets better and better. Emma, we are so thrilled to be here, aren't we, for yet another episode of Lattes with Lucy.
Yes, we have a very special guest today. Someone who hasn't been on any bonus episode yet, but he perhaps is one of the most talked about characters of season 2.
Mm-hmm. We love him. We might also hate him. Edgar de Santiago, who plays Isaac. Thank you so much for being here.
We love Edgar. Isaac is depending on your team.
Yes, depending on who you are and your drama, you might love Isaac or hate Isaac, but we objectively love Edgar. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Let's just get to a hard-hitting question right away. Edgar, how do you feel about Isaac, and do you agree or disagree with how he acts in the Trom series?
I love Isaac. Maybe I'm biased, but I think he was well-intentioned the entire time, from start to finish, and he just found himself in a situation that was not in his favor, and he wore his heart on his sleeve. He's had his life together from a very early age, and so he knows what he wants, and he's not gonna stop until he gets it. Of course, we all do crazy things for love that we wouldn't expect ourselves to do. So I think maybe Isaac just wanted to do that.
Yeah, I feel like I might have suggested that I hate Isaac, which is actually not true. I think Isaac is actually the most psychologically well-adjusted, the greatest role model on our show. So for those of you who maybe are listening but aren't quite caught up or can't really remember, I hope that you all do. But if you don't, Isaac really, in my opinion, doesn't do anything wrong. He just unfortunately is the foil to Reed, who we theoretically probably want her to be with despite all of the drama. And so yeah, I actually don't think Isaac has any kind of problematic behaviors.
My only beef with Isaac was, I forget what episode it was, but when he just shows up at the Malibu house saying that, oh, I'm Ella's boyfriend, when they never DTR'd.
Wait, that is weird. I forgot about that. He's like, hey, I'm here. See,
that's what I'm talking about. It's he knows what he wants, and even maybe it was never officially established, but he's I'm going to be your boyfriend because I feel very strongly about you, and I know you feel strongly about me. So what are you doing wasting your time over here? You should be with me. Just so forward, and maybe not really considering, obviously, whose house you're pulling up to, what else is going on. You also are a new character in her life. So, but it's all coming from a place of love,
Yeah.
Yeah. There's just Emma, am I alone in this? There's just something about Isaac that was kind of annoying.
It's because he's too perfect. I think
but you know what? This is really reflected. Just to get real. I have an issue sometimes with where I'm kind of repulsed by really nice people, and that's my bullshit.
Well, I think you're onto something. With a lot of love triangles, sometimes there of course there's the great smart guy, and then there's the bad boy. It's in Twilight, Edward and Jacob. Jacob objectively is the nicer, sweeter guy that doesn't really have any problems. And Edward is the bad boy, but of course we want to root for the bad boy. What does that say about us?
We love chaos. We love problematic situations because it thrills us. To think that you have to be with the nice guy the rest of our lives. It's oh, well, that's a little boring. Why can't I have a little bit of thrill? Keep me on my toes.
Yeah, Edgar, I don't know how you identify. No need to share if you don't want to, but do you find yourself in your love life going for the bad individual or the goody two shoes?
In between.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I know that, myself, I enjoy controlled, balanced chaos.
Yes.
In my life. That. So it's I think it's a nice mix of both. Right now, my girlfriend Kiana, she's amazing and so thrilling, and she excites a fire in me, and I know that I wouldn't get that from perhaps your paper cut goody two shoes.
Yeah. Sure. We need a challenge,
It's that. You need a challenge. You need somebody who's always challenging you, who's always pushing you, in the best ways possible. If it comes up in not best ways, sometimes that's life, but at least you're always being pushed to be a better version of yourself, being a better version of the relationship, just being more.
Mm-hmm. Do you the whole kind of premise of this show is that Lucy and I are basically the same, except she owns a business and I own nothing. And I mean, like, do you feel really like, did you feel like when you were like reading Isaac, like, is that you? Like, is that how you talk? Or were you like for sure putting on a character?
Parts. There were parts that I really identified with, and then there were other parts where like, hey, I'm not so forward like that to show up like I'm your boyfriend. What are you doing here? So I think learning finding the rationale for that for me, because I would not, I'd like to ask before, showing up. But I think,
nice.
I mean,
how thoughtful.
Like a regular human being. But I think in the essence of, truly like knowing what you want and being passionate about it and sure about it, I really identified with him. Also, like his upbringing and his dedication to his work is somewhere where I also identified. So in parts, yes, in parts, no.
Yeah.
Edgar, are you ready to give some advice?
I'm not a therapist, but I can try my best.
He's gonna try.
All right, guys. So question 1 is from Riley, and she is from Canada. I have been dating this guy for almost a year, and I'm losing feelings, and people keep telling me that I can do better, as in pick someone better. I want to end things with him, but I don't know how to. Knowing that if I do, he will be completely broken. Some background info, he's obsessed with me, and his twin sister is one of my best friends. And our 1 year and his birthday is in September, and I don't want to be a crappy girlfriend and break up on his birthday. Please help. I don't know what to do.
Oh, no. This sucks.
Oh.
She knows what we're going to say. Riley. Well, I have many thoughts. Edgar, do you want me to start or would you like to start? I'm giving you a choice.
Oh, please, you go ahead.
All right. Yeah, I mean, listen. I think it was Matt. Matt on the earlier episode said something along the lines of, you really are doing them a favor when you really, I love, because everyone knows, yeah, you're doing them a favor by breaking up with them, blah, blah, blah. But what I love that Matt said was like, you're doing them a favor by breaking up with them as soon as possible because you're releasing them to like fall for someone else. And I never heard it explained that way. Like you're always told like, yeah, like don't be lying to someone, but it's also like give them as much time as possible to recover from this. I want her to maybe end this as soon as humanly possible, to give this boy as much time as possible to maybe like have a semblance of a good birthday, but that timing may not align. But I just think as someone who's like received bad news in their life, as all of us have, I think though it absolutely sucks and is devastating and nothing can like possibly protect you from how hard it will be, it is always great to know sooner rather than later. And there is literally like nothing positive to come from waiting. I know it might feel like it because you're like, well, I don't want to ruin his birthday. And I like totally. But here's the thing. Like, let's say you do it like a week after his birthday. He's going to be like, great. So all of these weeks like leading up were like a lie. Like that might hurt more. Do you know what I mean? Like if you found out that someone's been thinking about this for like X amount of time, there's nothing you can do to save him from painting things in a negative light. And all you're doing is a disservice to yourself. Like you say your friends are telling you that you can do better. And like that to me is like less of an issue because like, if you love him, like who gives a shit if your friends are like, we don't, like to a degree. I think the most important thing is you are losing feelings for him. And that sucks, but you're really not doing any favors to you or him by staying in it half in, half out.
Yeah, I think I couldn't agree more with that, especially on the idea of release. But there's also a semblance of like the energy that he is holding on to perhaps is what the relationship was because she's not living in that anymore.
Yeah,
and so
that was deep.
You're lying to him, but you're also lying to yourself. Like, release yourself from any kind of obligation and any kind of holding on to what things were. Because also the fact that all these things, all these major life events are coming up for him could also be, this breakup could be a great catalyst, as, because I know like on my birthday, I'm super reflective of my life. I'm like, oh my gosh, what happened this year? So that could be a great thing for him of like, maybe this is his catalyst to further himself in his relationship to himself. And then for you as well, like let you deepen your relationship to yourself, because, you know, if you're holding on to something that you don't fully want, then, you know, maybe you're not being honest with yourself completely about that and maybe other things. So it's the best opportunity to just fly, be free.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's beautiful. I think you guys are so right. And I think I said this also in Matt's episode too. It's okay if you're no longer in love with them, but it was someone that you had a relationship with for a period of time. And I'd still think you owe them the respect to consider their perspective. Put yourself in their shoes. Like, would you want someone to hold on breaking up with you? No, like you're wasting their time. Be respectful of their time too. And I would tell them as soon as possible. Not on their exact birthday, but I think that's a good point too, Edgar. Like, it might be kind of nice for them to have their birthday a few days later when they're around friends and family and having a reflective time in their life. But I would end it as soon as possible. You're just being untruthful. All right, guys, should we jump to a quick commercial break and come back with a deep question from one of our fans?
Yeah.
We are back with question 2. This one is from Laura, and she's from California, and it's actually a voice question, so we get to hear someone.
Oh my God.
Ready?
So my question is for those who might be nearing 30. I've had such big dreams and ambitions of my life and have been so positive about how things can shape up. But I'm also starting to gain a lot more real world experience, and that beautiful, positive naivete is falling to the wayside as I get a little bit deeper into like my career and love goals. Wondering if you have advice on how to keep that youthful positivity as we grow a little bit older and learn a little bit more. Any advice is welcome. Love you. Thank you.
Emma can see I'm having a mental breakdown over this because I was just talking to her about this. So I get confused sometimes because we record these a few weeks before they come out. And so my podcast in the future, when this drops, will be out, which is literally about this exact question. And
I didn't even plan that.
No, literally. Okay, so not to like be so like pluggy, but my podcast is called Never Too Late to the Party, and it's literally all about how I'm 33. It's kind of funny though, because similar to like what we're discussing with timing right now, when I started the pod in May, I was 32, and then I turned 33 in the process. So the whole thing just doesn't make sense because everything's out of order. But the point is I'm 33 right now, and really just grappling with the fact that there's so much in my life that I still want to happen but hasn't happened yet. And while I like totally believe that like all of these things are possible for me, I do have a lot of examples, as I'm sure our caller does too, of like watching each of your friends like get everything into a row by 33. And so anyway, check out the pod. It's all about, I'm still lost as to when this is coming out, but theoretically my first episode with my friend Gracie Lawrence is out. So go listen because we talk all about this. But to answer your question right now on this pod at this moment, I so relate to this. And I think it's really hard. It's, I think naivete and positivity are two different things. And I think I'm okay personally with the loss of the naivete, but I'm not okay with the loss of the positivity. And here's why. I think that I am so good at wallowing. I'm really great at it. I could write a masterclass on how to just play the victim. It's a Jewish thing that's inherited from generation to generation. It is so easy and sometimes like delightful to sit in it and also sometimes not, but it's so easy to just sit in negativity. Like it's actually so easy. It's the easy thing to do. The hard thing to do is to stay positive even when there is no clear path, or to stay positive when there is like 500 obstacles in your way. And I think, I guess if I'm answering her question, which is, I guess, basically like, how do you stay positive? I think it's, for me at least, and this is just like a real time answer. Sometimes when really bad things happen to me, it's really hard for me to accept it. And like, I get really lost in the story. And I feel like an analogy I came up with the other day is like, I feel like if everyone is like on a boat and like life is a boat, I feel like I get thrown off the boat and I'm like at the bottom of the ocean and I am just like down there, like just complaining. And I'm like, why am I at the bottom of the ocean? And all my friends are like, swim up. And I'm like, but why am I down here? And it's like, literally just swim up. And so I think, yes, like have your moments of like losing hope and losing your way and feel that and like sit in it, but then kick your feet off the bottom like the fucking Olympians and get to the top and breathe and figure it out. I think it's like, I guess what I'm trying to say is like what I'm really grappling with and trying to realize is that like positivity is a choice and moving forward is a choice. And this does not mean you have to have the opposite thing happen where you're like, it's toxic positivity and you're like denying all of the uncomfortable, frustrating things that are happening. But I just think when you're in your 30s and you're not seeing things fast enough in your relationship and your career, which I get because that's how I fucking feel, I think what helps me, it's taking me a really long time to get to my point today. It always does, but especially today. My point is that like the only way you're going to get there is not with like these fucking gremlins all around you. It's like by shooing them out of the way and coming to the top of the surface. And so that's what I try to remind myself in being positive, in moving forward. It's not in like some stupid fake way. It's in a way where it's like the only way I'm going to do this is in that headspace, not in this headspace. Does that make any sense to anyone here?
Yes.
They are nodding.
Yes. I'm nodding and agreeing.
Ah!
Amen, amen. Say it for the people in the back.
Say it again.
The positivity more than anything. I think this goes back to what we had mentioned earlier about the relationship to self and kind of not lying to yourself and being fully honest with yourself. Like what truly what fills you? What makes you happy? And that's not to be like a big thing. It's like, oh, I wish this could be this way, or I wish this could be this way. Like, yeah, eventually, in due time. But it's like, what is happening for you right now that is so amazing that maybe you tend to overlook sometimes? Like for me, I love coffee in the morning. It's my ritual. I do it every single morning. Just like this, once it starts brewing, I get this scent that starts filling the kitchen. It's like, oh, jeez, it's gonna be a really great day. No matter what's happening, even if I wake up and I'm like, oh, I'm so stressed. But it's like small things like that. It's like, what are the things that make you you? And that, if you really lean into those things, yeah, you'll find yourself in moments where you're drowning and you're like, I can't get rid of these gremlins. But then you'll remind yourself, it's like, wait, yeah, these gremlins are around, but then I have this, and then I'm also this, and I also done this, and I'm right now doing this. And everything's propelling you forward to the greatest life that you could ever live, because that's what we're doing every day, is really relishing in the opportunity that we get to live life. I mean, somebody said that's like, it's more likely for you not to exist than it is for you to exist.
Mm-hmm. Right, like statistically.
Yeah. So like you're already doing something really amazing by existing. And it doesn't matter, what age. Like you could be 85 and you could do something really incredible with your life that you never thought you could. But because you kept that perspective of loving yourself and being so capable and being so open to embracing the life that you have, you do everything. That being said, I'm not close to 30 yet, but I imagine.
All right, no need to brag.
I don't know. I mean, I'm just like clarifying like my perspective.
But like, look at the perspective you have at whatever age you are. Like, incredible.
But yeah, I mean, naivete can stay at the door. Positivity.
Can that please be the name of the episode?
Positivity. The good latte.
Oh my God, that was so good, Edgar. Positivity and positivity and a good latte. Emma,
This question is so real. I feel like I'm really taking notes because I don't know the answer. I feel like also like sort of approaching 32. It's something I think about all the time. Like, I think I've led a very fortunate life where I've got to see and experience a lot of things. You know, like living in New York City, living in LA. Like, I've seen a lot of like crazy, amazing things happen, and I've noticed like I've become like less and less impressed with things as I age. Whereas like when I was younger, every little thing would excite me so much. Everything would feel so cool to me, and like I miss that feeling, and I crave having that feeling more. And I'm trying to self-evaluate like why I think that is, and I think a lot of it might have to do with like my dopamine levels with like social media and TikTok and stuff, like needing refreshing. And I've noticed like spending more time in nature has been great for me. Traveling has been great for me. Chasing different forms of wanderlust has been really helpful for me, but I'm still on that journey, and I think it's going to continue to be a journey for the rest of my life. I mean, that's a great perspective, Edgar. I think it is all about perspective and having an optimistic outlook on life, because life is beautiful and there are so many amazing things to discover, and just reminding yourself of that and reminding yourself of your blessings is so important. It's hard, especially like in today's day and age. I don't know. I like to blame social media for everything, but I'm really starting to feel the ramifications of that personally. And I'm trying to fix it.
social media is so hard. It's so hard because I think, and it's also like when you're at your lowest is I think, at least for me, when I doom scroll the most, and it's like you're already in like such a bad place, and then you're just like taking in like what feels like everyone else who's like has their shit together and is so much happier than you, and it's really rough.
Human beings are not meant to be exposed to that many people. Like, we're physically the same as we were like hundreds or thousands of years ago when we lived in tribes of around 100 people. And when you're in a tribe around 100 people, you're going to be the best at something, and you're going to get all of your happiness and confidence from that. Like, you're going to be the fastest runner or the prettiest or the best at making arrowheads. I don't know, whatever it is, like, odds are you're going to be the best of it. At it. Now we're living in cities and with tons of people. And on top of that, you're exposed to millions, if not billions of people around the world in social media. And there's always going to be someone that's better than you or prettier than you or has nicer clothes than you. Mm-hmm. And it can be hard. I think just our brains are not evolved enough to handle that. You have to control it.
It's definitely something that's, I think, really gotten out of hand, and we didn't realize what it was doing to us, especially because I think it started a few years ago when we were all, we were a little older, but we were still growing up. And you think of all these kids who, like, literally they're 7 and they have a phone and they have social media, and they're being desensitized to the possibilities of life. I think what really also helps people who get to, live, kind of experience life in a smaller tribe, is like there's this ambiguity of like what is possible, because you only know so much of what you've seen. Mm-hmm. So then you allow more space for possibility in your mind mm-hmm. to be defined by you. But if you're scrolling on the phone and you see millions of people, then it's like, oh, this is what this person would be like if they were doing this. Oh, that's what it looks like to go do this. Oh, this is what this is. Oh, this is what my life could have been.
There's no mystery left.
Yeah, no mystery. And so then you're left with like everything has already been defined and my life is defined. So if I feel bad about my life, then it's just going to get worse. And that's freaking hard. That's so hard in this day and age, especially like being able to fully embrace which is probably a spirit calling to like being able to go wanderlust, like being out in nature and traveling and experiencing places. And it's so, like just you and the earth and the air, and that in itself, like the symbioticness that you can create of you just being on the planet and not being bombarded by all this noise that is everybody just trying to either push something or trying to make something up of what they want their lives to look like when not actually embracing what their life actually is.
Yeah. Edgar, you're so wise.
I know. We should just have him on every day.
I know. Seriously.
No,
I agree with everything you said.
I'm just figuring it out,
Yeah.
Like that's something you said too. It's like we're all figuring it out, like at every age, and none of it makes sense, but then sometimes it does, and like it's really cool when sometimes it makes sense, but for the most part, none of it makes sense.
It's kind of the beauty of it.
Yeah.
But
don't let yourself be defined by your age.
Yeah.
You can do anything.
I also think like my therapist says to me all the fucking time that like when like where you're most frustrated and what you're like angry about in your life like is an indication of like what you need the most. And so I think the presence of like a lack of positivity, you know, meaning like negativity, I suppose, around certain things, like it's just showing what you're needing the most. Like, you know, this podcast that I'm talking about, which hopefully does come out, like is the result of like a deep jealousy and anger that I wasn't making my own work. Like it was like a deep despair. And I feel like now, hopefully in some way, I mean, by the way, this show has been so amazing in that way, but I want it to be my own show that I'm like putting out there. And so, you know, that will hopefully be fulfilled by doing that. And then I feel like secondary to that for me is like the lack of like serious dating in my life and the lack of serious travel in my life. And I feel like those are things that similar, you know, and then there's the fourth thing of like, well, I want to be a successful actor, but those things, some things aren't in your control, but some things are. And I feel like travel and dating absolutely is. There are elements to both that require things out of your hands, but I just think making everything as in your control as possible, while of course understanding that not everything can be, but like really taking steps to get those things and to not feel bad for wanting those things. They're nodding.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're nodding. I will verbalize that I am nodding. Snaps.
I just love it. Snaps. Yeah, Edgar, I don't understand how old you are because you say you're not anywhere near 30, but you sound like you're 110 years old. So I'm honestly, this is like my biggest qualm is that like, because the people who produce Traum are so efficient, we are all there for like the least amount of time possible. At least I was. And I didn't get to meet so many people like you, Edgar, who is amazing. And I just feel like this was really very inspiring and very thoughtful. And you've done a phenomenal job. Just thank you so much for being here. You've been incredibly wise.
Thank you for having me. It really is a great pleasure. Like you said, you know, the efficiency was amazing, but yeah, we didn't get to meet everybody.
I know.
They have a lot of really wonderful and talented people, but at least I get to meet you now, you know, and especially on this podcast. This is so much fun. When you turn 110, life just cheats. What can I say? No, you know, like I said, like we're all figuring it out. It's really cool when we all get to come together and make sense of some things and talk about things and maybe have a little bit of an influence to some people, you know, like anybody listening, like I love coffee. This is your latte. Maybe this is the latte that makes your day and becomes a catalyst for you making some changes in your life. And if that's what happens, that's amazing. That's all we can really ask for, right? Is that everybody is able to take something away from anything and everything.
Get out of here. Let this podcast be your latte of life. Fucking God. That was fucking Rilke over here. That was amazing. I really, so see you guys next week when it's Lattes with Edgar, and I will just peace out. Exit stage right. Wow, that was a really chaotic but beautifully perfect episode. As a reminder, we truly do want your questions. Please head to emeraldaudio.co/latteswithlucy to submit your voice memo. We love it. or write in your question and check out our Instagram at the Royals of Malibu to learn more. All questions can totally remain anonymous, and no topic is too cringe or too embarrassing. I think we've proven that. We are here for you to be your latte, as Edgar said, to be the Lucy to your Ella, the Ella to your Val, anytime, anywhere. Please do come back next Monday for more, and be sure to follow the show at the Royals of Malibu. Follow Emerald Audio at Emerald Audio Network, and of course me, Stephanie Sherry at It's Steph Sherry, Emma at Emma Bo Bemma, and Edgar at
Edgar_de Santiago.
And if you want, check out Never Too Late to the Party. It's out now.